Everyone wants to be feared. Nobody wants to pay for it. You want the throne, the silence, the cold, but you flinch the second somebody calls you distant. Cute. My lovely anomalies. Let's talk about the price tag nobody mentions. You want to know what the top 1% actually means? It's not money, not power, not prestige. It's colder than that. It's becoming something this world can't ignore. The one who didn't fold, didn't flinch, didn't beg to be understood. The one who got crushed, spat out, forgotten, and came back with silence instead of sympathy. Being special was never about being seen. It's about being willing to disappear until the right moment to take back everything they built without you in it. This world doesn't reward loyalty. It doesn't clap for kindness. It bleeds you dry and acts shocked when you finally snap. So if you're broken right now, lost, thinking you're not enough, good. That's proof. You're being cooked in the same fire the great ones crawled through. But you have to decide, ashes or the flame. People love saying, don't change, stay who you are. Funny how that only comes from people who benefited from the old you. The second your silence turns into distance, they panic. You've changed. Damn right. Growth looks like betrayal to anyone who only loved you broken. This tier isn't for the comfortable. It's for the calculating, the ones who know exactly what they survived and owe nobody an explanation for their healing. Most people don't stay because they love you. They stay because you're useful. The day you go quiet, stop explaining, stop apologizing, that's the day they choke on your absence. That's the day you start crawling toward the top. It's a lonely road, but loneliness builds killers. Quiet ones, but killers all the same. Picture the quiet, loyal guy. Shows up, gives more than he gets, called soft, replaceable. Until one day he just walks. No drama, no warning. 6 months later he's unrecognizable. Physically, mentally, financially, moving like a storm, asking nobody's permission. The same people who called him too much are suddenly whispering, he's changed, he's cold. That's the entry fee. They never see it coming, because you were never the loud one. The top 1% doesn't rise from applause. It rises from rejection, silence, and a whole lot of being underestimated. You become so quiet, it becomes its own language. And here's the darker part. You won't be clapped for. You'll be feared, because you remind people of who they could have become with discipline instead of excuses. Everyone wants the result. Nobody wants the grind, the mirror, the mornings nobody checked in, pushing through betrayal without an audience. When you finally show up on the other side, built and unshakable, they'll act like they saw it coming. Don't give them that satisfaction. Revenge isn't noise, it's results, quiet enough to haunt them. This is your wake-up call. They told you love wins. No, discipline wins. Walking away wins. Saying no wins. Chasing people who already decided your worth? That never wins. Get cold. Get strategic. Life isn't emotional, it's mathematical. You either add value or get subtracted. The top 1% bleeds differently. You hurt and don't post it. You lose people and don't beg. You bury it and build over the grave. That's what makes you untouchable. To sit with betrayal like it's a friend. To get stabbed in the back until the blade sharpens your spine. And still walk upright. Not because you're healed, but because the pain made you bulletproof. Success was never about motivation. It's moving forward with fear clawing at your throat, without waiting for permission. Real strength is silent. And when you stay standing while the world watches, hoping you trip, that's when they panic, because they never expected you to last. They underestimated you because they thought you were fragile like them. They didn't know every no became a brick in your empire. Silence isn't confusion, it's clarity. It means you're thinking, and people who think build. A man who no longer needs validation is the most dangerous creature alive. Here's the coldest truth. You can't save people who benefit from your weakness. They don't want you healed. They want you accessible. The moment you change, they call it cold. What they mean is, you stopped being easy to manipulate. That's when the mask falls off, and you stop loving blindly and start watching closely. Now no is a full sentence. Silence plus discipline equals a kind of violence that has no fists, just an ego quietly ruined. Your presence haunts them even after you're gone. That's legacy. The moment you decide no apology is owed, and no one gets access unless they earn it, that's the moment you're forged. If you're still breathing after everything they did to break you, congratulations, you just haven't realized it yet. You ever wonder why you're still carrying people who'd have let you drown? That's the curse of the real ones. The top 1% got here by refusing to stay soft in a world that preys on softness. When you pulled back, they called you toxic. Really, you just stopped feeding their fire. Elite isn't built by applause. It's built by exile, by healing in silence while they laughed at your absence. Nobody's coming to save you. You either become the storm or drown in someone else's. Change isn't a crime. It's survival. They want you soft and needy because pain makes you predictable. The moment you stop performing the victim and start building quietly, that scares them because your silence is strategic. This was never about revenge. It's about control. Walking away from someone who doesn't love you back, that's not weakness, that's war. Fought with no medals, no cameras. Every unanswered message hardened you. Silence forces them to sit inside the void they created. You don't need closure when your success becomes the reminder. They didn't leave you. They lost you. And nobody replaces what's rare. It just haunts them at 3 a.m. You never had to lift a finger. Healing isn't the soft, magical thing they sell you. It's ugly, crying on floors you used to dance on. But once you've been through it, you stop entertaining half-love. You protect your peace like currency, because it is one. You're not cold. You're finally protecting what they never knew how to handle when it was warm. They only value you the moment your back is turned, when your absence gets heavier than your presence ever was. By then, it's too late. The top 1% doesn't come back to fix things. We burn the bridge and build an empire with the same hands they tried to break. Most people only cherish what they've already lost. That's not love. That's regret wearing longing's face. Stop treating pain like punishment. It's tuition. It's what separates the ones who fold from the ones who forge. Every scar was necessary. Without it, you'd still be making excuses for people who never deserved you. From that stillness, you hear the truth. You never needed them. Once you break the illusion, you become something they can't categorize, can't touch, can't destroy. Rare doesn't chase. Rare doesn't explain. Raising your standards costs you people. That's not loss, that's alignment. The higher you climb, the smaller your circle gets, because the top is lonely for a reason. Not everyone's willing to kill their comfort to meet their calling. They think something's wrong with you. Nothing is. You just outgrew the noise. You're not trying to be understood anymore. You're trying to be undeniable. They'll pretend they're happier without you, but deep down they know they fumbled someone real, and that guilt festers. By the time it hits them, you'll already be unreachable. They'll swear it wasn't the right time. Really, it was comfort. They were addicted to you chasing, fixing, waiting. When you stopped, it terrified them, because most people don't believe in consequences until the one they took for granted disappears for good. You're still standing because you sat with the pain instead of collapsing into a stranger's arms for rescue. You built a version of yourself that doesn't flinch when people leave, doesn't explain your own silence. Peace was never found in people. It's found in purpose. And when purpose gets louder than pain, that's where power begins. The top 1% chooses discipline over desire, walking away from what you want because you know what you deserve. That's a war your body will fight you on every day. But long-term pain is always cheaper than temporary comfort. The world doesn't test you with storms. It tests you with silence, with indifference, with nobody clapping when every door slams in your face. If you're still building through that, you've already passed more trials than most people ever will. Once you become this version of yourself, there's no going back. You'll be misunderstood, called cold, called heartless. What you actually are is free, and freedom terrifies people still trapped in needing to be liked. This wasn't born in comfort. It was born in war, empty rooms, unanswered messages, the nights nobody saw you carrying it. Now you wear silence like armor. Your words hit harder because they're backed by scars, not theories. You don't react anymore. You observe. You grow in silence until your presence makes the people who once felt superior uncomfortable. That's the quiet karma. They'll never admit what they lost. They'll twist the story instead, because accountability isn't a language weak people speak. Let them rewrite the past. You're too busy writing the future, and it doesn't carry dead weight. You don't owe anyone your softness anymore. That version of you died the day they watched you drown and turned their back. What rose from that grave is quiet, watchful, strategic, not bitter, just done performing for people who only respected results, not reasons. Here's the coldest truth of all. You're not going back. Not to them, not to who you used to be. The new chapter is written in discipline, in choosing peace over passion. You don't explain your absence anymore. You just become unforgettable, the only closure that ever mattered. This is for the silent warriors, the broken rebuilders. The reward was never love or applause. It's peace, clarity, power. The moment you stop seeking acceptance is the moment you become dangerous. Stop asking, was I good enough for them? And start asking, were they even good enough to have me? That's the turning point, where you stop chasing love and start demanding respect. They were never clapping for you. They were clapping for how easy you made their lives. Now you've built your own table. You eat alone, and it's not empty. It's full of peace, power, purpose. You see the patterns now, the lies, the fake apologies. You don't even need to call them out. You already outgrew them. Silence was never weakness. It was strategy the whole time, moving with precision instead of pain, letting results drown every lie ever told about you. The most painful lesson? Love doesn't always come wrapped in truth. Sometimes it's manipulation dressed up as care. They wanted easy, not real. So you stopped pouring into bottomless cups. Your heart is still there, just guarded now. Earned, expensive. Nobody sees what the climb actually costs, the breakdowns behind the composure. But you remember. That's why you'll never fold again. You were forced into this version of yourself by pain, and you don't owe anyone an apology for surviving it. Power doesn't shout. It whispers, and it still gets heard. What scares them most isn't your strength. It's that you no longer care. Silence from someone real is louder than screams from someone fake. The 99% shrink themselves to be liked. The top 1% stops adjusting. When they ask why you're different now, you don't answer. The real ones already know. They thought they were your anchor. They were just the storm. You trained in the dark, and now that you're walking like the very thing they tried to bury you in, they call you distant. What actually happened is they lost control. Peace is expensive, and most people are too cheap to protect it. So now your peace comes first, no exceptions. Anyone who threatens it gets cut off. Not out of hate, out of self-respect. You walk with a calm that makes insecure people anxious. You speak less, but it hits harder. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be undeniable. Proof that you can be discarded and still build a kingdom in the same place they left you bleeding. That's the real power. Silence that shakes the room without saying a word. So let them talk. Let them guess. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself built for their comfort. This was your war, walked alone. And now that you've arrived, don't shrink. Don't soften. You earned this in blood and silence. Walk like it. Count what you've got left. Funny how expensive a crown gets once you're actually wearing it. Catch you on your next bad day, Joker.